call our program Nightsounds. The music is by Debussy, and that's our theme. I'm Bill Pearce. I don't know exactly who you are, but I hope that you can stay with us for the entire half hour we're together. I say us because others are involved. Neither of us can see them, because radio, being the invisible mass communication medium that it is, it's got its pluses and minuses. I'm here tonight to bring you love, encouragement, empathy. Got some good music for you too that I think you'll enjoy. I need these kinds of factors that I just mentioned in my own life, and that's why we are here on earth, to glorify God and to help each other. Along the way, of course, we become discouraged, and problems, trauma, tribulations are as normal to life as breathing, and sometimes have a very therapeutic effect. But let's not give up. Let's continue serving. In fact, the title of our first song, as rendered by the Rick Powell Chorus and Orchestra, is a song of statement and purpose. I will serve thee, the human being speaking to his God.
I will serve thee because I love you. You have given life to me.
Broken pieces.
You have given life to me. You have given life to I will serve
Your touch is what I longed for. You have given life to me. The message of the Rick Powell Chorale and Orchestra, the music of Bill Gaither, and the title of the song, I Will Serve Thee, the music of Nightsounds. Tonight, as I was thinking about the direction of the program, and oftentimes, perhaps more times than not, I'm not sure exactly where we're going to go as far as our goal or our subject matter until I get in the studio. But I saw this little exchange in the Quote magazine that I thought was sort of interesting, and it gave me an idea, where the businessman said to the interviewer, "When I first came to this city, I had $1. The interviewer asked, "Well, how did you invest it?" The businessman replied, "I wired home for more money." And it seemed to me that there were some theological overtones to this. Many of us don't have much to start with, or much to conclude with, or much along the way. But the source of power and provision is there. And in this particular case, he doesn't keep office hours. He's not a 9-to-5er. Like the old spiritual says, he never sleeps, he never slumbers. He watches me night and day. So right now, maybe you and I need to wire home for more provision. Not sure what that provision would be. Maybe it's financial. Perhaps it's spiritual. It could be that it's emotional or physical. And just last night and this morning, in prayer, I found myself asking God, why? Why would you allow your child, your servant, to be in a situation like this? And then it occurred to me that sometime before that, I said, Lord, have your way. And another Christian servant, older than I, who gives me much counsel, said, well, isn't it good that God trusts us with certain things along the way that hurt? Sounds like a paradox that it should be a trust or a gift, but God does allow things into our lives and experiences that seem excruciating to us. But ultimately, the book says in Romans 8:28, He's going to bring all things together for good to them who love God and are called according to His purpose. And even if we look in the Gospel account in Luke 23 of the crucifixion, and other areas that this is mentioned in the Scriptures, how can such a beautiful life as that of Jesus come to such a terrible end? Such a brutal violation at Calvary. Some time ago, right in our own city, the Wheaton area, there was a brutal murder that took place, where a young girl was not only molested but ravished and brutally murdered. And when you see something like that, it just rattles you. You step back immobilized. It's so senseless, and you feel so helpless to do anything or to think anything with such awful intent in the heart of any human being. And yet you look at Calvary and you say, well, how could it happen? So much of the time we read of the crucifixion, and yet what we see there is not so much the gory detail, because God caused darkness for 3 hours. So the gospel accounts don't talk about the gory details as much as they do center on the people who were around the cross, the words that came from the cross, the women who followed Jesus, his friends, many of whom stood on the periphery, the words from the cross, the words of the thief on one side, remember me when you come into your kingdom. The penitent thief, the soldiers bartering, gambling for the coat of Jesus. They couldn't care less what was happening on the cross. What a parallel there is tonight. People will listen to a program, perhaps even such as Nightsounds, and be reminded of the awful price that was paid for their deliverance, and go ahead and gamble their lives away. Some will stand on the periphery wondering, taking a safe position. The human scene is represented at Calvary because of the greatest love man ever knew. And tonight, as perhaps we're going through hard times, there can be a peace within. You might call it fatalism. No matter what you call it, if you relate your life to God, there is no fatalism. It is His will, one way or the other. When you totally yield your destiny, your intellect, your emotions, your will to Him, who knows you better than any other person, who's not going to harm you. It may hurt a bit, but He's not going to injure you through it. A certain peace and trust will ensue no matter what happens. It'll rattle us because we're human, but there's a deep, abiding peace. That's the way I feel right now. We're going through a terrific trauma, but God is there. You remember Paul? When he had a problem, he asked the Lord 3 times for deliverance. And I can almost hear it. Lord, I'd be a better worker for you. I'd be more effective if you'd take this thorn out of my flesh. But God wants it there for a purpose. It seems incongruous. It seems cruel. But He sees the end from the beginning. He knows the kind of person we'll be made as we trust in Him. Not bitter, but stronger. Through this trauma, or this hurt, this pain. No matter how many times we ask for deliverance, He will say to us, by His Spirit and by His Word, as He said to Paul, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness.
3 times I asked Him, 3 times I begged Him, 3 times I prayed the prayer, Lord, relieve me of my suffering, give me healing there. 3 times He answered, oh, 3 times He said it, 3 times I heard Him say, my grace is more than you will need, I give it every day. Some victories are absolute, the battle over won, but others we must face again, the fighting's never done. But in our weakness as God displays the power he has to give. To some he grants an end to pain, to some the strength to merely live. 3 times I asked him, 3 times I begged him, 3 times I prayed the prayer, Lord, relieve me of my suffering, give me healing there. 3 times he answered, 3 times he said it, 3 times I heard him say, my grace is more than you will need, I give it every day. I give it every day. Take it while you may. I give it every day. Take it now today. He gives it every day.
The voice of Paul Sandberg. The song 3 times I asked him. This is Nightsounds. I'm Bill Pearce in the late evening and early morning hours by means of radio with you.
Thanks for listening to Nightsounds with Bill Pearce. Let's take a short pause to share some emails from our Nightsounds listeners. I've been listening to Nightsounds daily for some time now. The insight, peace, and understanding it's given me has been wonderful. Thank you so much for all of your time and efforts. We are all so blessed by the Lord, and this is part of those blessings. Here's another. I get a joy hearing Nightsounds at the end of my day. The music is heavenly. Thank you for keeping this legendary program alive. Listen to this on my drive home every night. Love it. Thank you for continuing Nightsounds. It's the perfect late evening program to prepare one for the next day. I highly recommend this program to my friends. Here's another. Grew up listening. Still enjoy the program so much. One of the best shows ever. Listened to it as a teenager and still listen to it at the age of 50. It's never preachy but always sticks to the truth. Thank you for the app. Bill Pearce with Nightsounds has blessed me so much. I found Nightsounds on the radio in the mid-'80s. I thank the Lord I did. I'm still blessed each time I listen. We would appreciate hearing from you too. Our email address is nightsounds@aol.com. Please share with us how God is using Nightsounds in your life. That address again, nightsoundsradio@aol.com. If you'd rather send a letter, our mailing address is Nightsounds, Box 29, Wheaton, Illinois, 60189. When you write, we would appreciate if you could enclose a check to support this ministry. We'd love to hear from you. No matter how you listen to the program, on the radio, on your computer, on the app, this is Nightsounds with Bill Pearce.
One of the most significant, dramatic things that ever happened. It must have been absolutely incredible to see, if anyone saw it at all, was at that moment when Jesus said, "It is finished," on the cross. And he yielded up his spirit. At that moment, there was a great curtain in the temple, 80 feet tall, 24 feet wide, and very thick. There's no way any human agency at that time could have ripped this in half, but that's exactly what happened. God ripped that veil away just like that when Jesus said, "It is finished." The veil of the temple, as many of you know, separated us from God. And only the high priest could go in beyond that veil once a year to atone for the sins of the people. And even then, he had to keep silent. It was an offering time. If he uttered a word, he would be struck dead. That's why he wore bells on his tunic, so people would know that he was still there and still active. But when Jesus said it is finished, it wasn't a cry of defeat. The soldiers hadn't killed him or taken his life. He yielded it. He gave it up. And that cry of victory, it is finished, ripped that curtain by the power of Almighty God from top to bottom, signifying that no longer does the high priest have to go in to God's presence, but that the people could come in. And you can almost see in your mind's eye humanity rushing into that place to get right with God, to know that they could all of a sudden feel free. Would you imagine what could happen if, say, the telephone company were to make an announcement in the newspapers, on radio and television, that through some great gift or power or ability, they could now make all telephone calls free of charge to any place in the world, from any place in the world? Can you imagine what would happen? You couldn't get near a phone probably for a week and a half. People would be on those phones night and day because there's no price. And that's, in a sense, perhaps a homely illustration of what happened when God opened the veil of the temple. We can all rush in now to His presence because of what Jesus has done. We can come to Him with our need. We can come to Him with our joys and our thanksgiving and praise. We can also come to Him with our tears. That's beautiful. And we can come right now into His presence. We don't have to be verbose or educated. We don't have to use correct grammar even. He sees the heart. He sees the tears. The beautiful number now by the London Concert Orchestra. He washed my eyes with tears that I may see. Susek to close our program tonight, one of the great old hymns, O Perfect Love, all human thought transcending. Lowly we kneel in prayer before your throne. Isn't it good to know that perfect love has no ending? That's why at weddings they often use the ring to signify the eternal bond of love. Only God's love is perfect. Only God's love is totally enduring. And we can rest our full weight on this. And tonight, as we seek to reach out to you, we do so knowing that God is still there, that He loves us with an everlasting love, that we can depend on Him. Thank you for joining me in this half hour together. I appreciate very much your presence, you as a person, and I'd love to hear from you this week. If we can be of any help to you through prayer support or correspondence or interacting in any way, our mailing address is Nightsounds, Wheaton, Illinois, 60187. What a privilege to know that as we gather together like this in our humanity, that God is here. God is with us. He knows the end from the beginning. Nothing can take Him by surprise. That's neat, because a lot of things take us by surprise. So let's trust in Him together. I hope we'll see you again via the airwaves in a few short hours for more of Night Sounds. In the interim, hope you have a good day tomorrow and a very pleasant good night.